We are here with our first 2024 team review. It's an exciting time when these get released, which is around the end of July, mid to end of July. That means football season's right around the corner. Quick PSA, in the description of the video, you can find a link to join our Discord and hop in there. We'll answer whatever questions you want, trade stuff, start, sit during the season. So check that out. And today we're talking about the Arizona Cardinals. And again, we are recording this on June 21st. So we're starting a little bit earlier. Not much changes between June and training camp, but just keep that in mind if you're watching this in August and someone gets hurt. You know, a lot has changed potentially. So again, keep that in mind. It is June 21st, and it's going to be, again, mid to late July when we release this. But we're talking about the Cardinals today and a really interesting team. And we're going to kick it off with Kyler Murray here, who, as you can see by the banner here, he'll be 27 this year, so still age is not a problem. He's being taken currently at 68th overall, which is round 6 as QB 10. Now this is, again, it's June 21st, so ADP could be a little bit off on what it's going to be at the end of August, but you see his stats there.
Yeah, I think it'll kind of be in the neighborhood though, so
should be.
You know, I mean, don't fret. And
yeah, it should be right around here. I mean, you see his stats for the last 3 years. QB 9 per game last year, which maybe a lot of people were surprised about. QB 9 in 2022. This is per game, by the way. And QB 4 in 2021. And then 2020, I think he was like QB 2 or 3. So when the dude plays, he puts up numbers, Dad. So he's going 6th round, mid-6th round or so. How are you feeling about Kyler Murray? Do you think that's a fair spot for him? Are you going to be targeting him in your drafts, drafting him in the 5th, 6th round? Or are you gonna,
I'm not sure if I'm going to, in a redraft league, if I'm targeting him per se. But, I looked at his stats, and we know, I think he played 8 games last year. So he missed quite a bit of the season and stuff like that. And I was looking at his passing stats and his running stats and stuff like that. And they weren't, and we know Kyler, he ran the ball a lot when he was younger and stuff like that. And those days may be over. I don't know, but just the games he played, he had 20 yards here, he had 40 yards. So the running numbers weren't great. Remember, he was coming off an ACL last year. If Kyler Murray fell into my lap in a redraft league at a certain position, like let's just say 68th overall, and I need a quarterback, I think I'm okay with it. Yeah. The only thing is historically on Kyler Murray is he seems to wear out. When he plays a full season, he slightly seems to wear out, gets a sprained ankle. I think he had a couple of years in a row where an ankle bothering him and stuff like that. But, if he's playing, he's going to produce some points.
Yeah.
So,
and it is
thumbs up. Yeah, I'd give him a thumbs up.
Yeah, it is because of the rushing. And you mentioned it. I think when people think of Kyler Murray, they might think like, oh, Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson's type of rushing. He's not quite at that level, but in his career, he's averaged 37.7 yards rushing per game, which is really good numbers for fantasy. Like that's almost in a 4-point per passing touchdown. That's almost an extra passing touchdown a game, right? So instead of throwing one, you're throwing 2.
Good data.
So, last year it was down a bit, but still 30.5 yards per game rushing. So it was still up, even coming off the ACL, which is kind of surprising. So he's not going to get a bunch of rushing touchdowns necessarily. I mean, 2020, he was insane. He had 800 yards rushing and 11 rushing touchdowns. He's not going to do that. But
no, it's not going to happen.
If he plays the whole season, he could give you 400 or 500 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns. And those are still really good numbers. He has Marvin Harrison Jr. now, and look what he did with DeAndre Hopkins passing-wise in 2020. 4,000 yards, 26 passing touchdowns. You have Trey McBride there, who we're going to talk about. So I'm kind of in on him too. I generally like to wait for quarterbacks. But if there's a quarterback going in that late 5th to late 6th round, and I think they could finish as a top 5 quarterback, I'll go ahead and reach a little bit for him because I do think Kyler can be a top. I think he's safe to be top 10, and I think he could be top 5 if he plays every game, of course.
Top 10, yes. I'm a little
top 5's tougher for sure.
I'm a little squeamish about the top 5, but top 10. If he's 7 or 8, that's great. I'm talking my point of view here. So, but definitely top 10. So,
yeah, you probably top 5. You probably need someone to get hurt. Because you have Hurts, Lamar, Allen, Mahomes, like there's 4 right there. So you probably need someone to get hurt. But yeah, I think he's top 10. He's pretty safe to be. And he has been basically every year of his career in points per game. So yeah, I'm excited about Kyler. No one really else. I mean, they have Desmond Ridder in case you didn't know, but we don't have to talk about that. So the running backs are interesting. James Conner, 29 years old, just turned 29. He's going 81st overall, which is round 7. He's RB24 off the board, so he's barely an RB2. Look at his numbers with the Cardinals. 2021, 15.9 points per game and half PPR. 2022, 13.6. 2023, 14.5. I'll start off here, Dad, real quick, and I'll just say James Conner is last year is David Montgomery was my guy. I had him in every league. I was like, how is he going 7th, 8th round? The dude's going to have 10 touchdowns and 1,000 yards, and that's what he had. James Conner's my guy this year. I don't know why he's going this late, but yeah, he's going to miss 3-4 games. Maybe that's baked into it a little bit, but when he plays, he's been a top 10 running back. I don't really see that changing next year, especially on a better offense. He's going to have more touchdown opportunity.
He played 13 games. So, and you just said it, when he plays, I know his numbers. I've kind of when James Conner went to Arizona, I kind of thought, he's going to just fall into purgatory or something like that. But the guy is produced every year, but you play 13 games, so you miss 4. So,
it's significant.
Fantasy, huh?
It's significant.
Yeah, it is. So, you got to replace them. But this year there's somebody going to be pushing them. So James Conner catches the ball too.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty? He's pretty major in the passing game, and
yep, I love him. If I can get him in the 7th round, like I love that. Like if I can get 5 wide receivers and 2 running backs, and one of them's James Conner to start off my draft. Like I love it because to me, he's going to be top 12, top 15. And again, he's going to be on a better offense. So he's going to have more touchdown opportunity. Yeah, maybe he won't catch as much, but he'll still get his, he'll still get 40, probably get about 40 catches. Despite, I don't think he's going to go 50 plus, but he can get 40. So I think he's just being really underrated. I know he's 29 years old, but I think we still have one more good year out of James Conner.
Yeah,
I think the team really likes him.
I agree. I like where he's being taken, and don't ignore him. And how many running backs play 17 games or 16 games or a full season? There's not too many. Even the best ones get a week off or 2 or something like that.
Yeah, no, they do. They do for sure. So now a little bit interesting is Trey Benson, the rookie, as his graphic comes up my screen. He's being drafted 112th overall, round 10, RB 35. Now, obviously, we don't have stats for him. He was a rookie. I like Trey Benson. I liked him a lot when we were scouting him for dynasty stuff. This is more redraft focused, but you can use it a little bit for dynasty as well. But I think round 10 to me, I guess my question is he more than just a handcuff, or is he going to take over James Conner's job? I think he's just a handcuff year 1, and I don't think he's going to take over James Conner's job unless he gets hurt. But he's kind of being drafted a little bit more than a handcuff. Round 10 is still
that's pretty high.
Starters, So
yeah.
Are you out? Are you out on that? Do you want a more like round 12 than round 10?
Yeah, I'm not sure. If you feel like you got some balls and you want to take a chance or something like that, yeah, maybe, and we know running backs they can produce right from the beginning and stuff like that. So all they need is opportunity and a couple things have to happen. James Conner not producing or James Conner hurt. Well, here's Benson's turn. So, but in my mind, I think it's a little high. I'd have to, think. I think, I need him. I'm going to take him a little bit lower in a draft.
Yeah, I think I'm there with you. It's just, again, we're still in the non-handcuff range with Trey Benson. Just looking at some of the guys going around him, you have Javonte Williams, who knows what he's going to be, but he's potentially the RB1 for the Broncos. Tajay Spears, I think, is a little bit more than just a handcuff. He's going to be maybe 50-50 with Pollard. Brian Robinson, there's a chance he leads Washington, right? Guys like Gus Edwards is going in that range. So that's where I just get a little bit hesitant to take him that high. 112th, I like him, but for this year, it's a little bit too high for me. So I think we're in agreement. He's mostly a handcuff, but maybe he can be a little bit more. I just don't think he's going to take the job from Connor unless Connor's hurt. So that's kind of how I see it. The wide receivers, I mean, there's one main guy to talk about. It's the shiny new toy in Marvin Harrison Jr. Obviously, he's young. He's 21. He has the highest ADP for a rookie receiver ever in the history of fantasy football. Jamar Chase wasn't this high. No other receiver was this high. 16th overall. I've seen him basically going. That's an early second round pick. That's where he's going. Best ball, he's going as a first round pick. I'm a little worried. I'm always worried about rookie receivers taking this high. I have a theory on why he's going this high, but I'll go ahead and ask you, Dad, is this too high for you for Marvin Harrison Jr., or are you okay taking him?
Well, here's what I think. I think about what his season, a successful season, and I think, 80 catches, 80 to 90 catches, 1,200 yards, and 8 touchdowns. And I guess I haven't really done any homework on where that projects or anything like that, but round 2, if you're drafting him as your first wide receiver on your team in round 2, maybe you took a quarterback or maybe you did something else in round 1. That's slightly a little high, yeah. I think, but I think honestly, the stats that I just stated, though, that's what I think he's gonna be.
Yeah, I think we're kind of in agreement here of like, yeah, he could definitely be worth where he's going. We're just a slightly hesitant for a rookie who they could struggle. And so I have a little bit of a theory as to why he's going this high. And a lot of it doesn't have anything to do with necessarily him. One, it's his name. And we've been hearing his name for the last couple of years. We've been hearing his dad's name for 15, 20 years.
So what are they going to do? Are they going to Caitlin Clark him and knock his ass around and all that?
No, they won't. I don't think they'll do that. But
go up and give him the old,
yeah,
body chuck or something.
Forearm shiver.
Yeah. There you
go,
rookie.
Also, I think he's going this high because of what past guys have done recently. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, rookies having amazing seasons. Yeah. I think that's part of it. I also, I don't know if you look at the second round kind of gets a little gross after the mid to late second round. It's like all those guys going in the mid to late second round all kind of feel like third round picks. You know, I'm talking about guys like Ayuk, Olave, Waddle, you know, Nico Collins, Mike Evans is a second round pick. All those guys feel like, man, I love him in the third. I don't like him in the second. So I think that pushes up guys like Marvin Harrison because it's a little bit of an unknown commodity. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, just going back and looking at, you know, Justin Jefferson. Well, he was wide receiver 6 in 2020, right? So he was awesome. You know, Jamar Chase was right up there, wide receiver 5 in 2021, Puka Nacua last year. So the one thing that's going for him is that all those guys, what they all have in common is they all had a legitimate quarterback throwing them the ball. Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, Matthew Stafford. And I'd put Kyler as, like, you know, he's not a scrub quarterback unknown. He's a good quarterback that can feed Marvin Harrison. So,
but Kyler has, you know, just go back and look at his DeAndre Hopkins, you know, and so Kyler can be that volume quarterback
for sure.
You know, so can Marvin Harrison be that, you know, true wide receiver number 1? Yeah, I'd say so. There could be a learning curve, of course. You know, are you expecting huge numbers the first year? Yeah, you better tamper, you know, your expectations down a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Really, the only other wide receiver that has like an ADP in terms of being drafted is Michael Wilson. We don't need to spend too much time on him. I don't mind him as a dart throw. You know, we're talking about round 14. We're talking about second or third of last pick in your draft. And, you know, if you think this offense is going to be good, they're going to produce more than 1 or 2 guys that are fantasy relevant, you know? So Michael Wilson, I think he's going to have to get there through touchdowns because I think he is the third target on this team behind McBride and Harrison. At best, he's the third target. You know, the Zay Jones signing kind of hurt him a little bit for sure. So I don't mind taking a shot on him. And if he's not doing anything within the first 2-3 weeks, you can cut him. So, but he's a guy I will take a shot on because I think this offense is going to be good. So I don't know if there's anything really you want to add.
You know, Michael Wilson, and this goes back a couple years, well, at least a year, you know, we were doing the pre-draft review of him and stuff like that and took a look at him and said, oh, man, he looks pretty good at Stanford. How come he only played this many games? He had a lot of injury problems at Stanford, but so, and I'm not saying that's going to be the issue here or something like that, but round 14, I'm not sure that's in my wheelhouse there. So,
yeah. I mean, again, you're talking about all those guys. There's a big chance that entire round there's guys that get cut after 2 weeks. So, you know, it's a guy that still has potential because he's young. We saw a flash from him last year, and he's on a good offense potentially. So, Zay Jones is another guy that's there. You know, you can basically get him for free or the last pick of your draft.
Zay Jones has done it too.
I know. I mean, everything we said for Wilson, you can kind of say for Zay Jones. Except that, yeah, he has done it to a certain extent. Like 2022, 120 targets. Last year, he had 64 targets in 9 games, so he was kind of on pace for 110 plus. So, Greg Dortch, unless one of these guys get hurt, I think he's more of a waiver wire guy. If one of these guys get hurt and they need to kind of feed him, but he's nice for Kyler, but I don't think there's really much we have to say about that. Trey McBride's the last guy, 24 and a half years old. He's going 44th overall in the round 4 of the draft as tight end 3. So you see his numbers there. Really just looking at last year, 8.3 points in half PPR. But you do have to stat that out a little bit because he really got going after Zach Ertz got hurt and then eventually cut. So week 7 was when Zach Ertz got hurt. So if you look at from week 8 onward, Trey McBride, I believe, was the tight end 1 during that stretch. I'm just going to double check that real quick. Okay, he was the tight end 4 in total points and tight end 6 in points per game. So from week 8 on, he averaged 11.7 points per game. And his numbers were pretty insane, like 115 catches, 140 targets, 1,100 yards. So I like Trey McBride a lot. I generally don't draft tight ends this high, but Dad, maybe some people do. Maybe you like to take higher tight ends. If you do, is McBride one of those guys you're looking at, or are you going to go for one of the other top guys?
No, I think some of the other previous top tight ends are dipping slightly. Mm-hmm. And that's Kelsey. Hawkinson has got a knee issue. We got to wait and see. Is he going to play? Mark Andrews, I think the last couple of years he's been hurt or something. George Kittle, has a monster game, and then you don't hear from him for a couple weeks or something. So, Trey McBride, yeah, I think, they woke up, a sleeping giant here, and if he played well with Kyler, and sometimes it takes that quarterback to tight end connection, on certain Mahomes and Kelsey and Lamar and Andrews and stuff like that. So that could be something that's happening here. And this guy's young, he's not even 25 years old. So, and
he was considered the best tight end in that draft class 2 years ago. So
I think have it. Yeah, especially a tight end premium, which is in a lot of dynasty leagues and things like that. Definitely, this is a guy I wouldn't have a problem going. I wouldn't have a problem going round 4.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of 5 guys that are all similar to each other, maybe 6 if you throw in Pitts, but Kelsey, Laporta, McBride, Andrews, Kincaid are all, to me, they're all in a tier of 5. Any one of those 5, and maybe Kyle Pitts you can throw in there, could be tight end 1. And so I'll take the last one of that. And a lot of times it is McBride of the last of that group. And so I'll take that value. If someone wants to take Kelsey round 2, but I get McBride round 5, I'll take that value because I think McBride could have just as good of a season, but I'm getting him 3 rounds later. So I think he could lead the team in targets. I know everyone thinks it's going to be Marvin Harrison. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that it's actually McBride that leads this team in targets. The touchdowns weren't there, only 3 last year. I expect that to go up, though, if he's going to get 120 plus targets. So I think that's just, besides the touchdowns, he was on pace for crazy numbers. Again, I think it was 112 catches. And just for reference, Kelsey's never had 112 catches in his career. That's an insane number. He was on pace for 1,150 yards. Kelsey's done that multiple times, but those are Kelsey-like numbers that we're talking about. So now we'll just got to see it for a whole year. But yeah, overall, any last words on the Cardinals? Do you expect kind of a maybe sneaky in there at the end of the year fighting for a playoff spot?
Yeah, I think, they could be 8-9 or 9-8 very easy. So, they play in a tough division. Seattle, San Francisco, and the Rams and stuff like that. But, they're not going to be doormats. They shouldn't be doormats. I mean, unless they have some kind of major injury. Second year for the coach, so there should be a little rejuvenation here that we should see some decent football coming out of Arizona.
Agreed. Yeah. I think they'll be fighting. They'll be in there. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but they'll be one of those teams that week 17, week 18 still in it. So excited to see them. Very interesting fantasy-wise. All those guys, Kyler, Marvin Harrison, McBride, and James Conner are all, going to be drafted very high. So that's it. We'll finish up there. We'll be back alphabetical order with the Atlanta Falcons, another interesting team. We'll catch you guys in that video. As always, like and subscribe, and we'll see you then.